This is Alan here. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to get the most out of a book. This is a typical class textbook that you would find in libraries. It's got a table of content, and this is where I would start. First, read the table of content. Read what it says there. That will give you like a map of where the book is going. This one is on management. Okay, so just read the content and see what it says about. Don't try to memorize anything. Just read it. Look how it's divided by chapter, by section. What is it? What is a map of it? In fact, if you draw a mind map of that outline of the book, you're going to be really ahead quite a bit. So we're going to jump to another chapter right now to show you a typical chapter for this textbook. Like I said, this is typical textbook. A lot of words in there. A lot of it is not necessarily required for your learning, but it's there to amplify or highlight what the author is saying. Also remember that if I publish a book and it's only going to be 50 pages, I'm going to have a really hard time competing against a book like this one, because this one is thick. It's hundreds of pages. It's almost over 600 pages in this book, and that makes it seem more valuable for many people. So when I look in the library and I look at a big book like that, I would rather pick that up than some kind of book that's been put into a spiral binder or a little coil binder and it's only 50 or 70 pages. However, at the end of the day, both can contain the same valuable information, just more details in one. So let's start with this chapter in this example. So you have a chapter, you have a title for the chapter, you've read your outline, so you get a bit of an idea what the sections are going to be, section 1, and you can see there's a lot of text in here, a lot of text, and if you're going to read all of that, it's going to take you a lot of time, but more importantly, you're going to remember very little of it. It's pretty difficult to remember all of that. So then we're now at section 2, and then you got more text, more text, more text. So how do you make sense of that? Well, the key is use what the author and the publishers have used to stylize their text. So you'll see that there's indentations, there's some graphics, some schematics, there's some bold, okay? You'll see there's indentation, bold again, bullet points, okay? More indentation here, bullet points. So those are key to tell you. We'll stop at this section. These are key to tell you what's important. Now, what I do is once I've scanned through this like that, I go through and I read the first sentence of each paragraph. So the introduction gives me an introduction here. These are usually just added to amplify what it said first. Then there's the schematics. A schematics like this one, if it's actually relevant to the material, is really important and it can really help you understand. So it's like a mind map. This one is just a plain schematics, but it helps you understand what the author is trying to get to. So there's your flow here. So this is good. This is good. It's really good. So put that to memory. You don't need to write anything about it yet. You may want to draw it up on a piece of paper, but don't get too stressed out on that one yet. Now, then you move on to the next part. Read that first sentence. And look, through the main text here, I don't know if you can notice that, there's words like this one, reverse producing services, patronage building services. Those are bold. Those are important. So read the sentence that this word, that this bold or bold words are in. Okay? Don't read the whole paragraph. Just read those sentences where there's bold in it. Same thing here, bold. And then there's another paragraph starting. Read that first sentence. Actually, it's very short. A key concept in customer care is relationship. And then all of this is supporting that sentence. So you don't need to read all of it if you understand that. So you move on. See, there's a page and a half here of information just to support this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 word sentence. Okay, that's it. Move on to the next one. Now, if you want to be thorough, a little bit more thorough, you could read the first paragraph of many of those, but you will realize in this case that many of them are just supporting that sentence. So if you get that sentence, you get the paragraph, you get the chapter. So you move on, you move on. what I'm telling you now, authors are not going to like this. They want you to pore over every word they said. But I'm talking to you from a teaching point of view and from someone that's been teaching people for decades on how to pass tests. So trust me, it does work. Then you move on to the next part. See, there's another subtitle there. Read that first sentence. Now, sometimes, it's rare, but sometimes you'll have to go to the second sentence to make sense. But don't go and read the whole thing. So here, those are sub-points. So improve personal selling. Read the sentence behind that, which will support what that means. That's it. Next point. Read the first sentence. Next point. Read the first sentence. Next point, first sentence. Here you go. More here. Okay? More text to feed that up. Okay? Scan through it. Just scan through it. See what's worth there. Then section 2, another title. Read the first sentence. Read the first sentence of these paragraphs. Oh, you got some bold words in here. Read the sentences that the words are in. Okay? This is telling you that this is important text. Okay, then again, you can move on quickly by reading the first sentence. You got bullet points here. 1, 2, 3. What are they talking about? Most likely are talking about that first sentence here. So this author that they're quoting, he has an explanation here. So we have 1, 2, 3. Read the first sentences of those. Then you move on. You move on. Then you've got another one. They call it Exhibit 9.1, Dimensions of Customer Care. And it's got 10 points. The bold, and see the rest is just more words to explain that. They're not even sentences. They're just basically synonyms. So mark down those 10. So right now, we just read through from 242 to 252, 10 pages, and I bet you on an 8.5 by 11 that will barely fit one page. Okay? Then you got another one here. This is how you go through a book and sift out the information you need for studying. Okay? So this is one example. Let me put this one away and let me show. Okay, so this one is an insurance course that I taught. Okay, so you've got the chapter, but remember, before you even start, you would have gone to the beginning of the book and look at the outline of the course. And also sometimes they'll have a glossary. Okay, so you would put that in there. You would read that. So there's another glossary of terms. That's usually quite important. In something like this insurance course, you really need that information. So let's pick a chapter here again. So I'll move this a little bit. There you go. So you've got your title. And then in this book, which I really liked about this book, was really well done from a learning point of view, from a student point of view, is they have an outline for each chapter. Now, you could take this, photocopy it, and use this white space here as your note-taking, because this will include everything you need to know. You could also, the trick that I do is I scan it on my copier and I shrink it a little bit to as small as I can so I can still read it, okay, on an 8.5, then I copy it on an 8.5, so basically I have a page of paper with this into the corner, and then I use the rest of the page to write notes about it. And I'll draw lines to it. Okay, so this is really useful. So look at the text, how it was done in this one. You've got the chapter, you've got bold, they have black on white here, or white on black. They got bold words, they got bullet points, boxes. In this case, they use boxes for examples or to highlight some points. Okay, again, they go do that. Now, in the case of this course, what they've done is they'll introduce a concept. Okay, they'll introduce something from the Insurance Act, and then they'll expand on it in the rest of the course. So let's go back to that one. They have point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then the rest explains it out. So you can skip, you do go through it to kind of understand what they're saying. And then they have some sub-points in here. Again here, description of property insured. Again, This is quoted from the Act in this case. So they quote the Act, they introduce the content. Again, you read a sentence or two, introduce the content, the Act, and then they break it apart. You see, in this case, they just basically took this point 1, they brought it back here, and they added to it. 2, added to it. 3, added to it. A lot of textbooks are doing that. If they're quoting some legislation or some act or somewhere that the course is based on for licensing course, they will often do that. They'll quote the act and then re-quote it as they go and expand on it. Okay? So there you go. So again here, this is quoted from the Act. Point 1, they repeat it here, add some information. They have an example in here. Then they add some more. Another example. Okay, so this is how this course is done. Very, very easy. This course, which is over 450 pages, turned into a 70-page handout that my students were given. That handout then for final study, remember when I talked to you about you first watch the video, then you write some notes the second time, and then you do a final review, final note-taking for the exam? Well, this would be the same thing. So you first go through the book, you scan through the book, you don't read everything, you scan through the book. Out of that you get, I expanded quite a bit, so I got to 70 pages, probably could have done in 50. And out of those 50 pages, I came back to about 3 pages for exam preparation notes. So this is how you cut down through all this stuff. And again, if I was to sell you a book for $400 that was only 70 pages long, you wouldn't want it. But if I sell you a big binder that's 450 pages, yeah, you're going to say, yeah, it's probably worth it. We've been conditions in the libraries to buy big, thick book having more value than a slim book. Well, that's unfortunate, and that's the way it is. But we know better. As part of our learning, we know better. We're going to drill right through this and cut it down for our needs, for our learning style. So I hope this video was helpful. And if you have any comments on that, please drop me a note. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.